Hi guys, continuing my celebration of a decade on YouTube, which is still completely mind-blowing. I thought I would do a Q&A. So I did some Q&As recently, but I feel like the questions that I got on Instagram when I asked specifically for YouTube specific questions were different. And some of these questions I haven't had for a while, some of these questions I've never had. So let's see what they were. What advice would you give to someone who wants to start a channel? I've definitely had this question before, and for a long time I hated the question because it's difficult to give advice. It's the same as, you know, what's the blueprint for success? If you knew what the blueprint was, you would probably be more successful, or at least I would be more successful. The only advice I would ever have for someone who is wanting to do something like this is to make sure that you're talking about something that you truly are interested about. Don't try to find what might work. Don't try to find what might be successful. Try to hone in on something that you feel like you could talk for hours about anyway. Because if you're interested in it, then number one, you're going to be interested in making the content, but it's also going to kind of come through when you're passionate about talking about something, then it's just more interesting to watch. More than anything, don't start making YouTube videos for any specific like end goal. Don't have a specific thing in mind of like, I want this, because chances are you won't get it. I've been making videos for 10 years. 10 years. Some people make videos for a year and they massively supersede any kind of success that I've had. You just can't imagine where you're going to be. You can't control what's going to happen, and you just have to do it because you really, really enjoy it. And if you're doing it for an end goal, then you're going to give up really, really quickly if you don't see kind of progress, in my experience. Lots of people asking about hair transformations. Hopefully, if I've managed to get it together, we will have talked about that on Saturday when I did my kind of big 10-year premiere, where we talked about some, again, I haven't filmed this video yet, but I hope that we went through kind of some old videos and some kind of highs and lows and a little bit through the entire 10 years. So hopefully we've already talked about that. Did you ever imagine you'd be as big as you are? I'm adding the air quotes. You're my number one go-to. That is such a lovely comment. And it, again, going back to what I said previously, it's also relative because I don't consider myself at all to be a big YouTuber. I'm still a small fish in a very large pond. But at the same time, I completely appreciate that when I had 100 subscribers, I was over the moon. And that felt like such a huge, huge milestone. And almost 100,000 felt completely like insurmountable. Like there was absolutely no way. Even in a few years ago, I was like, well, this is where I'm at. I just kind of stopped thinking about growth or progress at all. And to be fair, even now, I am very much, I'm making the videos, you know, people watch them, people don't watch them. The engagement is what is most important to me, because without the engagement, it's completely boring. But if you allow yourself to focus too much on the numbers and big versus small, then it's a very boring place to be. YouTube is not, anything, any kind of social media, if you think too much about like big and small, it's not, you lose the joy in things. So no, on the one hand, but also I still don't consider myself to be big. How do you balance and decide how much of your life to share versus keeping private? That is a tricky question, because I am someone who, if you met in real life, you would know all of my secrets within 5 minutes. I'm an oversharer by nature. And so it's difficult to, again, going back to the first question, probably going to go back to the first question a lot. Any advice for someone starting out? You have to decide how much of yourself you want to share, but it's also difficult to curate a character to be on the internet and to sustain that for a long period of time. I know that for some people, they found really, really great success with a certain persona, and then like 5, 6, 7 years in, they're bored because that's not the person they want to play anymore. And it's really difficult to kind of break out of that box. So being yourself is the easiest way to be. You're not always going to be the most successful being that way. I am the great proof of that. But it's also really tough to find a balance of censoring what does and doesn't need to be shared when you're being yourself. Because if you're an oversharer like me, you want to tell everyone everything. And I tend to tell everyone everything. Online, I don't hide lots of myself. The only time that I am a little bit more careful is when it comes to other people. So with my family, with the children. Like Ella is very rarely in vlogs and videos and, you know, on social media of mine anymore. Maybe a little bit more as she gets a little bit older, but she's gone through kind of a few years of, you know, it's an awkward teenage thing. This would be the most embarrassing thing for your parent to do when you're going through secondary school, would it not? And so I'm mindful of that. And in that way, I will kind of shield. Like my vlogs and stuff are less and less about the children and even about Lee. They're peppered in there, but that's the only thing that I'm mindful of what I'm sharing and what I'm not sharing. When it comes to me, I'll tell you anything. You know, it's not necessarily the best trait when it comes to being on the internet, but I've always thought if people are going to judge me, I'd rather they judge me on me rather than a fake me that I've tried to create on the internet. You know, not everyone's going to like me. This is the same in real life. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I've warned Milo about this as well because we've got a very similar personality. When you're in the mood for us, we're great fun, but when you're not in the mood for us, we are the most annoying person you will ever meet because bouncing off the walls, way too hyper and energetic, and this is the problem with being an extrovert is like because you're getting, even talking right now, I get so much energy from this, which is totally a one-sided social interaction, but it doesn't feel like it. I get so much energy from this that I become more and more energized and more annoying. If you're not in the mood, when you are in the mood, great, but this is the kind of love-hate thing that I found, but I just, very long and rambly, but I just would rather be me and share everything. But it is, you know, it's not always a great way to be. Have you ever been on the inside of drama? I've seen stuff we wouldn't believe. Not really. I've heard lots of people talk about drama. I've heard lots of people say, oh, you know, so-and-so, you know, so-and-so. I tend not to know the people that they're talking about. Really ever at all. It's very, very rare. I've like met people that I didn't really like, met people that I thought weren't that nice in real life. But I've never really been on the inside of a drama, unless I was and I didn't know. Do you prefer the YouTube community now or when you started? That's really tough because now I feel that we are kind of reverting to old school YouTube. Slowly, there was a big hump in the middle where really, really overproduced TV quality stuff was doing really, really well. And I think that over the last few years, we've kind of steadily gone back to more reality and more relatability. And I kind of weathered that storm in the middle of kind of trying to keep up, not really feeling like it was a constant battle. I didn't want to be that way, but it felt like it was the only way to do it. And so there was a massive chunk of time in the middle where I felt like I was kind of floundering, whereas I think it's kind of coming back down to the original level again, and I'm like, finally. So I would say we've weathered a storm, but I don't think that it's changed that much because I think we're kind of coming back. Have you ever heard of any other YouTuber badmouth you or your content? No, I haven't heard that. But again, I think sometimes I'm kind of like out of the loop when it comes to that stuff. I haven't got lots of bloggery friends. The bloggery friends that I've got, we're all in kind of a different category, different industry of blogging. And so I've never kind of found myself in like cliques where everyone's falling out with each other or anything like that. If you do know about other people who are trashing my content or trashing me, just don't tell me. I'm cool with that. Ignorance is bliss. I'd rather not know. What do you miss most about old school YouTube? Again, I feel like we're going back more to old school YouTube. I prefer the days of, I mean, right now I'd already made myself up to film another video. I had my camera ready, I had my light out, and I just thought, okay, I'm going to sit and film this video. Very little prep, haven't read through these questions. This is what I love about YouTube. Sit down, talk about stuff. I just enjoy this sitting and talking without having to worry about, you know, worry about what you're saying, worry about, you know, oh, this video needs to be exactly this amount of time, or, you know, it needs to have this keyword, or it needs to be about this particular topic because it needs to be trending and blah. That is not my vibe at all. It's very, just sit and talk about what I want to talk about. And this is what YouTube used to be. YouTube used to be, I used to put my phone, prop it up somewhere, and I used to talk about something, and I used to upload it from my phone. Didn't even edit it. I love that YouTube, and that's what started to appeal to me so much about the Instagram stories last year when I finally adopted those. And I still do enjoy that, but I've now kind of adapted that to some vlogs over on my other channel. So yeah, the informal nature is what I miss most about that. But again, I think we're getting it back. Is there anything you regret sharing on YouTube? I don't regret sharing anything because, like, if I could go back in time, blah, blah, blah. No, like now I don't care. But if I was to have another baby, which is not the plan, but I'm just kind of, let's just live in that fantasy world for a second. If I was to have another baby, I would share very little of that, because I have found, like, everyone's pretty chill now. You can say pretty much whatever you want. In the vlogs, I'm talking about like home life, and you can just be very candid and everyone's really chilled out. But when there are children, small children and babies and pregnancy involved, everyone's got an opinion, and it's a very strong opinion. And when I was vlogging and I was having Milo, and I got Milo when he was very small, that is the worst trolling I have ever experienced in my life. And it's not a time in your life when you're mentally prepared for it, because you're going through a lot of like hormonal changes anyway. Lots of women have some serious mental health issues after having children. It's just not a good time to be inundated with a lot of strangers' feedback on your life and your parenting. So if there was anything that I would change now if I was to do it, it would be to not share anything about the children. Now, the problem I've got is I've got one child that's very into this and one child that's kind of moved past that and is a little bit older. I've spoken about this before. If I had I suppose I did have small children, I hadn't really played the tape to the end, because I'm older in terms of my like life phase than the average YouTuber. I think that I have been in a fortunate position, in an unusual position, where I had like an older child, and I could kind of see, okay, you put children on YouTube and then later on they're not going to want to be on YouTube, or this is going to be embarrassing and you're going to have to phase them out. And the whole children on YouTube thing, I think we're only just starting to see how this can go really, really wrong. Whereas 5 or 6 years ago, I could already see this is not going to go very well. I could see like towards the Ella being like in junior school, I was going to want to phase her out before she got to secondary school, because I didn't want me and what I do on the internet to be a cause of any kind of discomfort or bullying when she got to school. And so the children thing in general, I can't really pinpoint exactly what I would do, because I probably would share things of the children, but I wouldn't share as much, and I wouldn't share anything to do with how I was raising a child. Even offhand comments, it's just not worth it, because you're just not mentally in the place to receive that kind of criticism at that time. So really, yeah, stuff to do with the kids, censoring the kids, potentially, if I was able to, leaving the kids out altogether. People that are doing that, I think, are amazing. I still think, because I'm an oversharer, I would really struggle to not show something of the children. But yeah, if I was stronger in that way, I would just no kids, none. Not have no kids, share no kids. These are very long answers. I'm really going off on a tangent. What do you enjoy posting and uploading, and has this changed over the years? Not really. I really do enjoy editing more creative videos. I don't get the chance to do that very often on this channel, because it's not something really that the work doesn't pay off. The work doesn't see kind of a great reward when it comes to spending a lot of time in editing. And so I do stuff with Milo where we like make little stop motion videos or whatever, and we have fun with that together. So I enjoy that part of it, but that doesn't regularly make it, or like travel vlogs, I get to do that with a little bit. That doesn't regularly make it into videos. But this stuff, the sit down chatting videos, Q&As are probably some of my favorite videos to film. These and chatting about products, just anything where I sit down and talk for a long time. What made you start your channel? Would you have started a channel as YT is now, trolls, etc.? Okay, so this is something that I've mentioned several times as well. I don't think trolls are that bad now. I found trolls to be so much worse in the beginning. My first couple of years on YouTube were the worst when it came to trolls. Really, really, really horrible. Obviously, there are still websites out there where people talk about you, but I personally don't really have a problem with that. I for a long time, it really ate at me, and I wanted to understand why people didn't like me. I wanted to understand why they saw me in a different way than I thought that I was, and why they were so angry about things. I couldn't understand it. Anyway, once I kind of let go of the fact that I'm never going to be able to reason with them, and understood that the reason that they're doing that has really got nothing to do with me, and it's about making friends with another community, I kind of was just able to let go. I very much appreciate the difference between people going on a forum or a website talking about you and people coming to you with cruel comments. That, to me, that's two different people. One of those people is the person at work who is saying, oh my God, did you see whoever on TV last night? Oh, what was she wearing? Or did you see her makeup or whatever? Which I personally think that most of us are capable of if we are honest with ourselves. I think most of us are capable of idle gossip and saying something that you don't even consider at the time, but really if you saw a transcript of that conversation, you would feel quite cruel. Or if that person knew what you'd said about them, you would think, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Something flippant. I just honestly believe that most of us have been subject to or been party to idle gossip like that in the past about people that feel kind of far removed from our lives. Not people you work with, but people, like on TV or whatever. And so I kind of consider people on forums to be doing that. They're kind of chatting about something like, oh yeah, I know, just gossip. Then there's the person who might go on Twitter and directly say to that person they'd seen on TV, your makeup looks terrible, oh my God, sort yourself out, blah, 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 blah. They are two different people. And that is the difference between the forums and the people going on a YouTube video and saying something cruel. Now, even the people saying something cruel directly might not think that you're going to see it. And sometimes I've responded to messages and they seem to be truly surprised that it's had a response or that people are reading the comments that they're talking to, because I realise some people don't read the comments. But I don't get a tremendous amount of the latter. I don't get very many people being directly cruel, probably once a month, maybe. I am very grateful for that. As a result, I kind of feel like, well, those people over there that are doing that, it has nothing to do with me. That's just like, we've got this in common, let's talk about that. This is my socialization. This is like my club that I belong to where we critique whatever, this thing that we're all into. And I'm totally okay with it. I don't consider that to be trolling. I think that is a different thing. I think trolling is direct, and I feel like I went through the worst of that in those first couple of years. And I don't know if it just hardened me or if I just kind of like everyone just left that felt that way. I don't know. But no, I don't. If I'd known it was going to be like it is right at this very moment, nothing would have put me off. And honestly, I don't even know whether or not it would have put me off if I'd known. I mean, probably. If I'd known that there were going to be whole pages of websites dedicated to how horrible I was, back then, I probably wouldn't have done it because it was really, really hard. But now, I don't know. It's hard to know because I'm probably a different person for having been through that. But back then, if you told me, maybe it would have stopped me. Right, what's your least favourite change in how YouTube has evolved in the past 10 years? I would probably say the number of people who used it to, I want to say deceive, but I don't really mean deceive. The number of people who weren't clear with the fact that they were getting paid for things, the number of people who were just intentionally shady, that then kind of ruined the whole thing for everyone, because a lot of people now will just automatically distrust what a YouTuber says because they think that YouTubers, influencers, whatever, are all kind of under that same umbrella when that is absolutely not the case. So it's frustrating. It's the thing of, one bad one has ruined it for a whole bunch. But yeah, that's probably the worst thing I would say that's changed. If you didn't start a YouTube 10 years ago, would you start it now? Hard to know. Hard to know, because my life would be very different. I may have developed a different hobby. I might have gone into a different career. I have no idea. Considering the changes and what you know, would you want to do it? Again, it's hard to say, like, if you put me now, would I do it now? I don't know, because I don't know who I would be now. 10 years of my life is massive. That's like almost a third of my life. I've grown up the most in the last 10 years. It's very, very hard to say how I would feel. But I do think that, being honest, 10 years ago, if you told me some of the stuff that had happened, I probably wouldn't have started a YouTube channel. Okay, what's been your favourite part of doing YouTube over the last 10 years? Again, completely engagement. Whenever we talk about this kind of thing, I always talk about the fact that I can remember my first commenter was called HairLuv79, Hair LUV 79, and getting requests for videos was like everything. I loved it so much. It's something where someone says, when I've said something and someone engages with that and gives something back, like, yes, I agree with that, or no, I don't agree with that, or I ask a question and someone answers it. Even now, that is the biggest buzz. If I made videos and they all got millions of views, but not one person commented on it, this would get boring really quick. I would love to say that I would feel great if I had so much more success and I'd made so much more money and everything was great, but it wouldn't. Truly, it wouldn't. I have often gone back and forth about, would I rather have more subscribers? What would make me happier? What would success feel like to me on YouTube? But then I also noticed that the more views I do get, or the more subscribers I get, or, when something gets a lot of comments, I find it really difficult to keep up with it. And I, for a long time, responded to every single comment. And it got to the point where I wasn't able to do that. And that was really sad, because it's something I really prided myself in being able to do. Even now, I'll go through the comments and I just think I can't do it all and still do this other thing and still have time and still spend time doing this. And it's hard to know where to draw the line and what's kind of worth the time versus not worth the time. So now I don't do as much of that. I still try to respond to everything that I can. But I don't even know what the question was. Truly, my favourite part of YouTube. My favourite part was always responding to comments and seeing the engagement with the things that I had done. And I have noticed that as things grow, that's more difficult. And so it really is a balance. It really is like a toss-up between would you rather this and would you rather that. And I think I would rather, there's like a cap in terms of numbers that I have in my mind that I'd be happy to get to and never exceed. And it's not very large. It's probably smaller than you think. What has helped you stay real in the YouTube and blogging world? I would say having a regular job, having children, and just a normal life, and not living anywhere near blogger events. So I make these videos, like I personally, the people that I like to watch on YouTube, they tend to be American, number one, but they tend to be, I never know specifically, tend to be kind of Southern-ish, but they're never like in New York or LA. Very, very rare. And there's one particular person who for a long time I loved, and she's become less and less relatable over the years, just because she's, again, too much success. It's hard. It's really hard. And I get it, because it's difficult for the person as well, because they're balancing, well, this is my life now. And being authentic that's part of that, is now showing that your life has changed. But I think people living regular lives with families and just enjoying what they're talking about, enjoying makeup or enjoying whatever it might be, they're the people I really enjoy. And that's what I inspire to continue to be like. It's part of the reason that I would never, even if this became like insane, I would still like to keep a regular job. Just for a little bit of normality, and it just reminds you that this is not normal. If this was my actual job, I think a couple of years in, you would lose touch a little bit with what it was like to be accountable for other people, or to other people rather, and to actually have to do things at a certain time. I I would say that's the majority of it. Having a family, living far away from the events and things, not having like a core group of blogging friends, just regular friends that don't do this, and yeah, having a regular job. Lots of questions like, would I still have started? Has your audience, oh, and what videos they want changed? If so, how? This is hard to know because, again, talking about from way back, I don't enjoy the part where you're supposed to look through what's working and what's not working and change your content accordingly. I don't like that. I don't enjoy the bit where I have to self-promote. I don't enjoy the bit where I have to change what I'm doing to suit a new audience. I enjoy doing what I enjoy doing. And I think whenever I have in the past tried to change things, it's not gone very well because I'm not enjoying it and it comes across. So I'm sure what my audience wants has changed, and sometimes I've randomly hit upon something that wins. Like, for example, our Come Shop With Me's, which I am massively missing right now. You guys seem to really enjoy that, but that's something that I developed because I was spending money on hauls just to film videos, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And so I decided that we would do walking around the shop with me's, and they became really popular. And so yes, it has changed because although you like hauls, I think you like the shop with me's more, but that was a completely accidental discovery. People still really enjoy empties, and the one thing that I think doesn't do as well as it used to is stuff to do with particular looks, get ready with me's, and like makeup looks. But then I have never been a makeup artist, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Milo's come in several times to show me pictures of the dog wearing a t-shirt. He's put the dog, actually, weirdly enough, he's wearing a t-shirt that's very similar to this, and he's just been taking selfies with the dog. That's like peak isolation. Biggest regrets. What are the things you wish you had said no to or done differently? So you know what happened with Makeup Revolution. If you don't, there's a video on that. That's the only thing that kind of comes to mind. I have worked with certain brands and it hasn't worked out the way that I thought it was going to work out. I have said no to things that I should have probably said yes to, but ultimately, as I believe in most areas of our lives, everything then leads you to the point that you're at now. And I'm happy with where I'm at now, so I'm not going to say that I regret anything specific, because I don't think that I have done anything, you know, nothing catastrophic has happened. It doesn't really matter, does it? So I wouldn't say there's anything specific that I can pinpoint. Oh, if I hadn't done this, I'd be world famous. No, also I don't want to be world famous. But you know what I'm saying. I don't think there's any one thing that I really regret. If you could go back and change something from the same person, what would it be? Similar question. Again, probably limiting how much of the kids I share. Favorite video you've ever filmed, created, or posted? Ooh, okay. So hopefully I will have already shown you that on that video that I mentioned earlier on that I shared on Saturday. I don't know off the top of my head what my favorite video would have been, but it probably would be something to do with my hair. Probably. Just, I was making a list the other day from people's suggestions and just from kind of looking through my content. And it's a real trip down memory lane. It really is, just to kind of consider the videos that I've made over the years. If you would start a YouTube channel now, would you? Oh, and would it still be beauty related? That's hard to say. I actually think, I don't know what it would be about. I think if I was to start now, if I'd had all this time, I don't think it would be beauty related. I think it would be opinion related. I think we would have a topic and we would talk about that topic because it fits in with everything that I enjoy about YouTube. The sit down, you talk. It's why I've enjoyed podcasting, although that's on hiatus right now because I just cannot deal with it with the kids at home. I think that's probably what I would do. I'm not sure what that category would fall into, but I think just sitting and talking about something going on right now would be my thing. What are your top 3 moments on YouTube and what were your lowest 3 moments? These are questions that you need to plan for. I don't know. These are things that I never know the answer to. And then later when I'm editing, I'm like, oh, of course, this is a really great moment. I mean, having the opportunity to write and publish a book was insane. It wasn't successful. I never expected to make very much money from it because the deal was bad. But in what other world would I be able to write and publish a physical book? And so when these things are, like, I made a list a few months ago of the things that I've been afforded to do because of doing this. And it's a list that I decided I would keep and look at when I felt like, what am I doing this for? This is the worst. Which, to be fair, it hasn't come up since I wrote the list, which just goes to show practicing a little bit of gratitude does work. But things, for example, like that, I got to go on that Greek cruise, which was insane. I got to run around Disneyland Paris while the park was closed with Emma. There has just been some really insane moments, some really insane opportunities that I would never have had it not been for this. And so really, when I think about the top 3 moments, when I think about like, wow, this is incredible, being able to share really amazing moments and having a reason to record things. Like, I have videos of the kids when they were little. I've got the video of Milo coming home from the hospital, things like that I just wouldn't have had. I wouldn't have made those videos. Or if I had, they'd be lost on some like old phone somewhere. Those are amazing things to have. And so any of the lowest moments, which off the top of my head, I mean, a lot of them were Makeup Revolution related because I really did pin a lot on that. But the lowest moments all kind of pale in comparison. It all feels worth it when I think of the things that the opportunities I've had thanks to doing this. So again, it all depends on how you measure success, but I feel great about it. What do you think of YouTube demonetizing anyone talking about coronavirus? I think it's fair. I think the main reason, as a creator, you get like pop-ups and news things when you go on to upload. And one of the things that they said pretty early on was people are going to get their videos demonetized more often and like unnecessarily because they've got less human interaction because people have been furloughed or people have been laid off even, or they're just not working. So because of that, I think that they had to be a little bit more stringent and they didn't have as many eyes on the videos. The videos were coming up quicker than they could deal with them. And so it was easier to just say, no, you're not going to monetize this pandemic. And so I think that's fair. If you were born into wealth, would you spend the majority of your time creating videos? Interesting. If I were born into wealth, who knows? I would be a completely different person and you probably wouldn't like me very much. I probably wouldn't like me very much. I don't know. I have no idea. If I'd been born into wealth, I probably would never have found YouTube in the first place in terms of video creating. However, I know Emma and I have both said in the past, if we won the lottery tomorrow, yes, we would still make videos, 100% we would. And it would be so much fun. It would be mostly travel. We would just like, if you could just throw money at whatever video you wanted to make, it could be the most fun. We could literally do anything. There's just, the world is your oyster. So yes, if I was to come into money tomorrow, if I'd been born into wealth, who knows? I'd be a different person. What's the best way to get brands to work with you? That's a great question. I possibly have never pitched in my life, maybe once or twice. I'm not good at selling myself. I don't enjoy it. It's very uncomfortable. And so I don't think I would fall into a category of have got brands to work with me. Not the person to ask. And the last question, can you see yourself being on YouTube in another 10 years' time? A great question to end with. Yes. Yes. I've said several times when people have asked, sorry, I know I'm messing with my hair, but it's warm. I wanted to put my hair down because my hair's been up most of the time recently, but it is warm. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to stop making YouTube videos. I don't know what those videos are going to be like. I don't know in what capacity. Maybe it's going to be like very rarely. Maybe it'll be once a month, once a year. Who knows? It's going to be more than that. It is. But I just can't foresee a time when I'm going to want to give this up. I really can't. I can't see a time when I'm not going to want to share things. I'm not going to want to pick up my camera and say, oh my God, you'll never guess what's happened. It might be in a completely different context. I might talk about things that are totally different to right now. But yeah, I just don't I don't see, this is such a huge part of my adult life that I just don't see what would happen for me to say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I can't imagine. So yes, I do. If YouTube is still a thing, I think I'll still be on YouTube in 10 years in some capacity. And that was really fun. I get random things like peppered in occasionally about YouTube when we do Q&As, but one that is all YouTube specific was really fun. And I can't wait to see what video I filmed for last Saturday, because as we were going through these, I was remembering certain videos in my mind and thinking, I wonder if that's gonna pan out. I'm not sure how I'm gonna film it yet, but at this point, you'll be able to go and find out if you didn't see it already. But thanks so much for those of you that left me the questions. Obviously can't film this video without the questions, and you got them to me in very quick time as well, because I only posted that this morning. This is a week ago. And you got them within a few hours. I got all those questions, so amazing. Sorry for my rambly answers, but this is what I love so much about this kind of video. Just sit down and chat. Right, I'm gonna go back downstairs now and continue to try and teach myself how to play Dungeons and Dragons. I'll leave you to do whatever it was that you were doing. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. If you are this far into a video and you haven't subscribed, what's going on? Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!